chosen.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Hello, truth seekers, searchers for all that which is right, just, and correct. I would like to share with you an excellent argument made today on Tucker Carlson's show. Tucker interviewed this guy, Victor Davis Hanson. In his bio, he's described as a professor emeritus of classics at California State University, Fresno, as well as the Martin and Illy Anderson Senior Fellow in Classics and Military History at Stanford University's Hoover Institute. I will play and then chime in on a relevant clip that discusses some of the unintended consequences of a massive allowance of mail-in ballots for this election.
Victor Davis Hanson is one of the wisest people we ever speak to. He's a senior fellow at the Hoover Institute, and he joins us tonight. Professor, thanks so much for coming on. Where do you think we are right now? What's happening?
Well, I think you outlined sort of a tragic last Orwellian convergence of big data, big tech, big pollster, big money, administrative state. And what they did, Tucker, is they rendered the most hallowed date in American traditions, the first Tuesday in November, into an abstraction. It's a construct. Even the word absentee ballot doesn't mean anything anymore. It ceased to exist. And what did they replace it with? This new concept of early voting and mail-in balloting. We'd never heard those words before. And what they mean is 30, 40, 45 days before the election, you can keep voting casually. You go in, vote, maybe not any day. There's no one day you vote. Ballots can come in 1, 2, 3, 4 days after the polls maybe. And if the rules are too oppressive, you can sue and overturn the constitutional right of the legislators to set the voting laws. And what did we miss? It used to be the last 2 or 3 weeks were the heated time of the campaign. That's when you showed the mettle of the candidates. So what did it matter if Donald Trump had a really good second debate? What did it matter if we heard about Hunter Biden when millions of people had already voted? And what did they vote on? What were the perceptions? They were, as you said, they were massaged by polls. So their knowledge came, well, you know what, Wisconsin's 17 down and 12 down in the national polls, and Trump's favorability is 18 down, so it really wouldn't be wise to give money or to vote. It's over with. Exactly. And so we really abrogated, took away that responsibility of the citizen, and we outsourced it.
So just in that statement, you can see on the impact of the psychology of the voter upon changing the rules to allow a much earlier start period for voting. If you chose to send in your mail-in ballots October 9th, you would have missed the October surprise Hunter Biden revelations that occurred just the next week. Victor shows how these different systems are conspiring together. Imagine being an undecided voter. You live in an entire nation of one-sided, biased, and completely incorrect polls. You closely follow the polling data. You see that Trump is trailing in Wisconsin by 17 points. You think shrewdly and astutely, why waste money on a candidate the polling data shows is going to lose? You then decide not to donate to the Trump campaign. Furthermore, seeing the trend all across the country and now having the option to vote early, you say, hey, why not? Let me just go ahead and send my vote for Biden. Anyways, let's continue.
Isn't it now? Because we took the personal element out of it. You used to go to the polls and somebody would say, Mrs. Smith, Mr. Jones, you didn't sign. Your date, got a date, remember that. Here's your address. And we just turned it over to this pseudo-scientific group of people that said, we have computers, we're exact. We can poll to the exact decibel point. And we dumped all of these votes into these anonymous centers where there was no human contact, no transparency, no audit. And we expect them not to have 15% of the vote under the old absentee system, but 70, 80, 85% of the vote. And we expect them to get a result that's going to be accurate, audited, adjudicated. It can't happen. And then to add insult to injury, on election night, we have these same pseudo-scientific experts say, you know what, 2%, 10%, this state is over with. And this state over here is not over with. And they have nothing to do with reality, but they form a narrative, a theme. So in the case of last Tuesday night, why would you, if you were a Trump supporter, why would you object to what you thought was going on in Michigan and Pennsylvania when you were told that Barry Goldwater's state, the bastion of conservatism, was lost 20 minutes after the polls closed? Or that Texas and Florida can't even be called because Trump has been wiped out in his home base? That shapes perceptions even after the polls close.
So just in that statement, you see how even on election day, the potential perception of people for the consideration of foul play, if when states are inappropriately called early for a specific candidate, it can be implied that candidate is more likely to win less controversial states, such as, let's say, Ohio, Michigan, or Wisconsin. Like, wow, Biden won Arizona so early. Therefore, it can't be all that wild that a day later he'll win Wisconsin and Michigan in last-minute reversals of the lead after over 95% of the ballots were counted. That'll then cool the public flames of rage, leading to a barnstorm and throng of demands to ensure election integrity.
The only mystery is what's behind all this, and I think it's a transition from a rugged individual who has to take a responsibility to know the issues, show up on election day unless he's working or she's sick, and then turning it into sort of an entitlement. You just lay back, and whenever you contact a government agent, they're going to send you a registration form, and somebody's even going to harvest that and knock on the door and fill it out, and the polls are going to tell you who you should vote for because they're scientific and they have the authority of Twitter or Facebook or social media that you use. And then to add final insult with all that, and then you're going to be told you're going to be a winner or loser based on these perceived polls on election night and the analytics. And so to finish, Tucker, what we did was we took the prime element of citizenship, which is voting on election day, that has to be approved and have some authority and sanctity, and we destroyed it. And without voting, you don't have citizenship. Without citizenship, you don't have a republic. So that's what's at stake. And when people like Gavin Newsom and Hillary Clinton say that this COVID virus and lockdown was an opportunity to transform things and a crisis never to go to waste, then we think maybe it wasn't accidental. Maybe it wasn't accidental. Maybe it wasn't just the way things had to be. And that's really scary.
It is scary. I don't want to reach that conclusion, but you can see how
this COVID virus and lockdown was an opportunity to transform things and a crisis never to go to waste. Then we tell you who you should vote for because they're scientific and they have the authority of Twitter or Facebook or social media that you use.
Or personally handed to you by a voter rights association such as Mi Familia Vota. It's not necessary to take time to learn about the candidates. Just listen to what is told to you on CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC. Follow all the polling data posted by 538 Decision Decks and CNN. This method of information delivery is great for the masses who have really well organized and compartmentalized lifestyles. These people desire information that is nicely packaged on a professional network. They're not really used to digging at odd hours into the depths of a library or, in our most common case, the internet, to find answers to questions. Anyhow, this discussion with Victor Davis Hanson I found to be a very good summary of the unintended consequences of this year's transition to mail-in ballots. And as Victor points out, another potential example of crisis reaction solution with the Verona Cirrus contribution. Anyhow, peace out. Bye.